Oh boy, this movie was really good, but let me tell you what sucks about it really quick. This movie is long as fuck. It's almost as long as Endgame, but for its length, the film is very entertaining and fulfilling throughout. And unlike Endgame, it didn't take a 20-movie culmination of every superhero in existence to keep me from getting bored. I can't really think of any scenes that could have been cut, but there are some that overstay their welcome. Although even then, it's very minimal. A majority of the footage is necessary for the plot and the characters. But I will admit, initially, I thought the third act was kind of pointless because once the Riddler is caught, the movie comes full circle. It could have ended with this conversation he and Batman shared, but it keeps going because the Riddler had one final trick up his sleeve, flooding the city. However, at the same time, this is such classic Batman. I didn't grow up with Batman comics, so when I refer to classic Batman, I'm talking about the movies, the game series, and the many Batman cartoons.
Yeah, I totally came on the keyboard.
Whenever it seems like Bruce has finally stopped the villain, shit just hits the fan, and as a viewer you think, oh, it can't get much worse than this, but it always does. So for the sake of time, the ending could have been different, but other than that reason, I have no complaints. The opening could have been shorter and I didn't really like the narration, but I just don't like narration. It's more of a personal gripe with me. This isn't the worst instance of narrating by any means. I just found it a little corny, the mix of Batman talking about his struggle with protecting the city and Nirvana playing in the background. It left a bad taste in my mouth. My friend said it got him hyped for the movie, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my opinion's just wrong. I don't know, guys. The narration is at the end of the movie as well, with the same Nirvana song, but it was fine. I'm just glad the narration wasn't present during the entire film. Some parts of the story actually took me out of the movie, which is probably not for the reasons you expect. This isn't even a complaint, really. If anything, I think it made my experience in the theater so much better. I was dying when the Riddler forced Batman to use FaceTime, and Robert Pattinson was just sitting there for like 2 minutes with his motionless fucking face in the top left.
I'm over here stroking my dick. I got lotion on my dick right now. I'm just stroking my shit. I'm horny as fuck, man. I'm a freak.
That was a really interesting FaceTime call. I don't really understand what Matt Reeves was going for here. Or during the Riddler's goodbye to his fans, basically making a I'm taking the break YouTube video. And in the comments section, his loyal fans wrote, "Guns are good, need a Glock, found his face mask, meet up lit." Like, it's literally just so silly. And he went live on Instagram. I was like, holy shit, fucking Riddler's live. And like, when you're seeing that with your friends, it's just, you can't help but laugh. Like in the third act, when his goons all meet up together and they don't say a word. It was like a fucking YouTube fan meetup and they all went to go like murder people. It was so silly, but it was really interesting. If anything, the movie shines light on how today anybody can have an audience no matter how delusional or evil the creator may be. It's just kind of cool to see how our digital age is affecting classic characters. I don't think the inclusion of FaceTime and Instagram was bad or anything. I just found it really funny and it kind of took me out of the movie sometimes, that's all. So those are all of my complaints, even though I ended up inadvertently complimenting the movie. But that doesn't really matter because this movie is fucking Gotham looks like Detroit. It looks like a city that's actually falling apart while remaining realistic. Look at this scene from The Dark Knight. The streets are fucking spotless. The Batman's Gotham is a dense hellhole filled with crime, graffiti, and litter at every turn. It's nice to see a run-down, characterized Gotham on the big screen as opposed to just any big city in America. The film has stellar visuals to contrast the beautiful settings. Matt Reeves selected a very particular color palette to represent the vibe of this movie. I really enjoy when filmmakers are very prone to their usage of colors. With all those factors being considered, this is probably the best looking superhero movie ever made. Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable with that statement. As far as the movies go, Robert Pattinson has the best Batman voice. He's not breaking his vocal cords or using a voice changer. It's just a slight variation to his own voice, which sometimes breaks in tense situations. Robert's Batman voice is enough to keep people from knowing who he is, and to be fair, this version of Bruce Wayne doesn't have a huge presence in Gotham anyways. Speaking of Bruce Wayne is good too. Some people dislike this Bruce because he's not a billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, but I don't mind at all. This Bruce is a broken man that feels like an outcast of society, which is no different from any other Bruce Wayne, but this interpretation doesn't put up a persona to hide it. Yet, at least. He hates big corporate or political business meetings and public appearances. He doesn't want to be remotely involved in any big suit activity regarding Gotham, yet he still feels a strange obligation to pull his birthplace out of the darkness in his own way. This Bruce seems very guilty of his characterization, which is present when the Riddler mocks him. The people of Gotham cared for the billionaire orphan that lived in the mansion, but the many children that have literally nothing are forgotten about, such as the Riddler. Although by the end of the movie, Gotham is moving in a better direction with much of the city's political pollution being eliminated. In the upcoming films, Bruce may realize it's his duty to help Gotham as himself too. The new mayor mayor of Gotham calls Bruce out for not helping the city with all of his money. Pattinson doesn't have a single line of dialogue throughout that entire scene, which conveys his emptiness and shows that he's just basically given up as Bruce Wayne. So I definitely think Bruce will get more screen time moving forward, and I'm sure he'll develop his billionaire persona to the public eye. This is also the best Batman costume I've ever seen, in my opinion. The boots, the texture of the suit, its simplicity, but it's not just the costume itself, it's the way Pattinson fits in the cowl. Most of the previous costumes aren't terrible, but the actor's face will be very mushy in certain scenes. I don't think mushy is the right word. I don't know what the right word is. It's extremely noticeable though when the scene is very intense and Bruce is supposed to be angry. You could see like all this like fat push forward. The cowl just brings out the actor's worst facial features and makes them look kind of goofy. Bale, Keaton, Clooney, these aren't ugly guys. Their face just doesn't fit the cowl and the cowl doesn't fit their face. Ben Affleck is probably the only other Batman that has a very fitting suit for his build. The newest cowl perfectly fits on Pattinson's face and the man has a near perfect facial structure. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that this is the best looking Batman suit I've ever seen on the big screen. Like I said, visually, this movie is near perfect, and yeah, there's nothing else I really want to say. Most of what I covered has already been said anyway. The Batman is refreshing because it doesn't feel like a big corporation is trying to cater to any type of audience. There's no underlying agenda besides that scene with the Joker, which is a little out of place, but it flushes out the universe. It's still kind of bad though. But regardless, I'm just hoping he's not going to be Batman's next foe because I'm fucking sick of him. And other than that, Matt Reeves was just trying to make a good Batman movie and Warner Brothers gave him the freedom to do so. That's why this film stands out.